Welcome to Jargonomics, the show where we cut through some of the web industry jargon, giving simple, plain English explanations that are hopefully easy to understand. In this episode, split testing. What is split testing? Split testing and its associated term A/B testing is a simple experiment where two variants or versions of a thing, like two versions of a web page, are compared. For example, you might compare the current version of a part of your website with a proposed new version. Some users see version A and some see version B. And looking at the analytics data from each, it's possible to determine which version works best. And that can be invaluable to planning future developments on your website. So maybe that sounds a bit boring and statisticky to you. Why bother then? Well, split testing is valuable because it reduces the risk involved with implementing new features or revising existing parts of your website. If your website is mission critical to your business, tiny changes in performance can add up to big gains or losses to profit. Split testing helps to remove uncertainty and avoid wasted time and money on development. Website development should never be based on guesswork. Rather than guess, use split tests to determine actual results before you permanently change something on your site. You may also get some surprising data, which could open up previously untapped product opportunities, as well as customers you hadn't considered before. By identifying what works best, you can maximize your business opportunities and revenue. Not sounding so boring now, right? Just a warning though, it's easy to get lost in all this data. If you try to compare lots of different variations, it may be less easy to make informed decisions. For most businesses, it may be better to keep it simple by only testing two variations in order to find the clear winner. Naturally, this could become very time consuming if you are only testing one small change at a time. Instead, you may choose to implement a small number of changes simultaneously and test this collection of changes against the original. And that's fine. Just remember that the greater number of changes you make and implement at the same time, the harder it will be for you to determine which of these changes have contributed to the end result and which haven't. For example, if you change the color of a button, will it be clicked more often? You could test that single change and get a definitive answer. You could also decide to change the color and the text on the button at the same time. You will find out if that new button is more effective, but you won't necessarily know whether it was the color change or the text change or both that contributed to the result. Each business needs to find a balance between highly detailed results, which are time consuming, and less detailed results which can be achieved more quickly. Ultimately, you may just be interested in getting a better result, and if the new and improved version with its many improvements achieves that, then great. There are plenty of pieces of software that take the grunt work out of this process too, leaving you to focus on the results of your tests. What's your goal? It's worth keeping in mind from the start what your end goal is. What are you actually trying to accomplish from your split tests? Don't get lost in endless data and testing. Be clear on what you want for your business. For example, many websites want to test different versions of web pages to see which generates most inquiries. That's great, but don't forget that it may be worth you examining other factors such as total traffic levels, product pricing, competitor pricing, and more. Let's walk through a brief scenario. Suppose you run an online pet supply store. You may start with a simple question. Which of our dog products are underperforming on our website? How will you find out the answer? Well, free tools like Google's Analytics are brilliant at giving you lots of data. So spend some time on a regular basis reviewing this, or get someone to do it for you. From this work, you identify that tartan dog beds are stubbornly staying put. So the next logical question, why aren't we selling any of these themed dog beds? You look at your current website and you suspect it's because these beds are very low down on the product page because the page happens to be ordered alphabetically and they're all the way down under T. A reasonable assumption is that your users aren't scrolling down far enough to see them. Time to test that theory. You decide to create a new B version of your product page with a featured products section at the top of the page, and you'll include your tartan dog beds as one of these products. You create and set the new version live and monitor the results. Often website traffic is split 50-50 to the old A version and the new B version to ensure fairness. Wait until you've got a decent amount of data so you can make a well-informed choice. Again, there's software out there which allows you to run these tests with both pages live and record the results. You get a clear winner? Great, that's the page to go with. And if no results come back with a clear winner, well, re-examine your theory and then try it again. Perhaps this time you might test changing the order that the products appear on the listing page or change the way the listings are displayed. Now you're probably already thinking that you could do this test over and over again with different parameters, and you're right, the possibilities are endless. So it's good business practice for you or your website manager or agency to regularly review the performance of different sections of your site and then conduct some split testing to see if your current result can be improved upon. On high volume websites, tiny improvements can have a massive effect on profit margins, but even less busy websites can benefit from split testing. By taking the guesswork out of your website development, you'll ensure your site is as effective as possible and that it attracts the highest level of conversions. That's all for this episode of Jargonomics. Join us next time as we decode more web industry jargon.